Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 on April 17, 2018. Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 was operating a routine service from New York to Dallas using a Boeing 737-700. While cruising at 32,000 feet, the aircraft's left engine failed after a fan blade, previously weakened by an undetected crack, broke apart. Debris from the engine struck the fuselage, shattering a window and causing an explosive decompression. Tragically, one passenger was partially pulled through the broken window and later died. The pilots immediately initiated an emergency descent and diverted to Philadelphia, landing safely. Everyone else survived thanks to the crew's swift response. The NTSB investigation revealed that microscopic fatigue cracks in the fan blade had gone unnoticed during inspections. The board recommended improved inspection techniques and stricter maintenance schedules to prevent similar incidents in the future. Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 on January 5, 2024. Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 departed Portland International Airport bound for Ontario, California, using a Boeing 737 MAX 9. Shortly after takeoff at about 16,000 feet, a door plug on the left side detached, creating a gaping hole in the fuselage and rapidly depressurizing the cabin. The crew executed an emergency descent and safely returned to Portland, landing on runway 28L. All 177 occupants, 171 passengers and 6 crew, survived, though 8 people sustained minor injuries. The NTSB determined that 4 essential bolts securing the door plug were missing, likely due to improper installation at the Boeing factory. Following the event, the FAA ordered urgent inspections of all 737 MAX 9 aircraft with similar door plug configurations, grounding 171 planes. Subsequent checks revealed additional cases of loose or missing bolts, intensifying scrutiny of Boeing's production practices and prompting the FAA to increase oversight. TWA Flight 800 on July 17, 1996. Transworld Airlines Flight 800, a Boeing 747, departed New York's JFK Airport en route to Paris, with a final destination of Rome. Just 12 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft exploded off the coast of Long Island, breaking apart mid-air and scattering wreckage into the Atlantic Ocean near East Mauritius, New York. All 230 passengers and crew on board perished. The NTSB investigation concluded that the explosion originated in the center fuel tank, where heat and partially filled conditions created volatile vapors. A short circuit likely introduced an electrical spark that ignited the fuel vapors. Although early speculation suggested terrorism or a missile strike due to eyewitness accounts of streaks of light in the sky, investigators ruled out external causes. This disaster led to significant safety reforms, including the introduction of inerting systems designed to prevent fuel tank explosions. United Airlines Flight 232 on July 19, 1989. United Airlines Flight 232, traveling from Denver to Chicago with a final stop in Philadelphia, suffered a catastrophic failure while cruising. At 37,000 feet, the tail-mounted engine disintegrated due to an undetected crack in a critical component. Shrapnel from the failure severed all 3 hydraulic systems, leaving the aircraft with no conventional flight controls. The flight crew, assisted by a United Airlines instructor on board, managed to improvise control by adjusting thrust from the remaining engines. They attempted an emergency landing at Sioux Gateway Airport in Iowa. Upon touchdown, the aircraft broke apart and caught fire. The 296 people on board, 184 survived while 112 lost their lives. Investigators discovered the hidden crack had been missed during maintenance checks and that the hydraulic lines were placed too close together, making this rare but catastrophic total system failure possible. Asiana Airlines Flight 242 on July 6, 2013, Asiana Airlines Flight 214, a Boeing 777, was approaching San Francisco after a long flight from Seoul, South Korea. During the landing attempt, the aircraft struck a seawall just short of the runway, severing the tail and splitting the fuselage. Out of 307 occupants, 3 passengers died, 187 were injured, and 49 sustained serious injuries. The NTSB found that the pilots mishandled the approach, mismanaging the descent and disabling the auto-throttle system that regulates airspeed. They failed to notice the aircraft was flying too slowly until it was too late to recover. Investigators also highlighted that Boeing's manuals and Asiana's training did not adequately explain the complexities of the autopilot and auto-throttle systems. Additionally, the pilot lacked sufficient experience with manual landings, and the instructor provided insufficient oversight. Crew fatigue was also noted as a contributing factor. Alaska Airlines Flight 261 on January 31, 2000, Alaska Airlines. Flight 261, a McDonnell Douglas MD-83, was flying from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico to Seattle with a stop in San Francisco. Tragically, the flight ended in disaster when the plane crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Anacapa Island, California, killing all 88 passengers and crew. Prior to the crash, the pilots reported severe problems with the horizontal stabilizer, which controls pitch movement. Despite their efforts to regain control, the aircraft entered a steep dive and impacted the ocean. The NTSB concluded that the jack screw assembly in the stabilizer had failed because its threads were excessively worn due to poor lubrication. Alaska Airlines had extended maintenance intervals with FAA approval, and the MD-83 design lacked a redundant system to prevent such a failure, making the outcome unavoidable once the assembly failed. Delta Airlines Flight 1141 on August 31, 1988. Delta Airlines Flight 1141, a Boeing 727, was departing Dallas-Fort Worth Airport for Salt Lake City. Shortly after takeoff, the aircraft crashed just beyond the runway, striking ground equipment and erupting in flames. Of 108 people on board, 14 were killed and 76 injured. The NTSB investigation revealed that the crew failed to properly set the wing flaps and slats, essential for generating lift during takeoff. Compounding the error, the takeoff warning system designed to alert pilots of incorrect configuration malfunctioned due to corrosion and a misaligned switch. Investigators also criticized Delta's outdated checklists and inadequate training procedures following rapid company expansion and merger activity. The FAA was faulted for not ensuring these problems were corrected sooner. United Airlines Flight 553 on December 8, 1972, United Airlines Flight 553, a Boeing 737, was descending toward Chicago Midway Airport after a leg from Washington en route to Omaha. Air traffic control instructed the crew to go around due to another aircraft on the runway. During the maneuver, the plane failed to gain altitude and crashed into a residential neighborhood, igniting a massive fire. Out of 61 people on board, 43 died, along with 2 residents on the ground. The NTSB concluded that the captain failed to maintain sufficient speed and mishandled the go-around procedure. The crew was distracted by non-essential conversation during this critical phase of flight and neglected to retract the spoilers, further hampering climb performance. This marked the first fatal crash of a Boeing 737 in commercial service since its introduction in 1968. Southwest Airlines Flight 1240T. On December 8, 2005, Southwest Airlines Flight 1248 attempted to land at Chicago Midway Airport during heavy snowfall and poor visibility. Although the Boeing 737 touched down, it was unable to stop within the available runway distance. The aircraft overran the runway, broke through a fence, and struck vehicles on an adjacent street. Tragically, a 6-year-old boy in a car was killed, and several others on the ground were injured. Remarkably, all 103 people on board survived with only minor injuries. The NTSB found multiple contributing factors. The crew elected to land without properly assessing runway braking conditions, reverse thrust was applied too late, and the auto brake setting was inadequate for the icy runway. At the time, Southwest had no requirement for pilots to calculate landing performance under contaminated runway conditions, leading to overly optimistic assumptions about stopping capability.